Uh, Thank you, Ravi, for allowing Public Health Foundation of India this opportunity. What I am going to speak about technically does not lie in this panel. The subject matter is a little different from it's not about monetizing the municipalities, about making money for the government. It is about universal health care. Now, as a topic, it might not immediately touch a chord because we are engaged in different activities. But as a beneficiary of healthcare, especially public system delivered healthcare, we all stand to gain if we participate in this process. Over the next couple of slides, I'll try to finish in time, sir. Yes, sir. I'll try to be within 10 minutes. Thank you. I'll try to present an argument that a smart city is not possible unless it's simultaneously a healthy city, and therefore a paradigm which seeks to provide universal healthcare is indispensable in an arrangement where we want to have smart cities around in the country. My presentation would try to cover topics of the transitions which India is facing, the evolution of the stakeholders, and thank you very much for the coffee which is going around. It should keep you awake. Some of the tools which are changing about this business, how ICT can play a role, the concept of universal care, and hopefully I'll come to my slide 28, which is where I want opinions from this August gathering and some questions. Okay? Smart city needs to be healthy, and therefore everybody here needs to be conscious, especially the planners, of the social transitions which are happening in the country, the economic, political, governance transitions. There are more IITians perhaps in the government bureaucracy on this panel than non-IITians or non-governmental people. Similarly, managers, technology, health system changes, how people fall sick, the epidemiology that is prevalent in the community, the nutritional needs, as many obese as malnourished. People no longer only die of diarrhea, they also die of obesities. So these transitions are something that are presenting a unique problem while you are planning cities, while you are planning any system, including municipal structures. Now, these transitions are not straight transitions. There are a couple of transitions. You will remember this beautiful picture of Devdas, 1935, Devdas, 1953. That's a transition. And more recent Devdas, that's another transition. And then another Devdi, which is a transition. Once upon a time, Don used to look like this. He now looks something like this. This is a transition. And are we all ready for these transitions? Are our systems designed to comply to these transitions? We are urbanizing fast and furious. I will not go into the statistics. Everybody here is more aware than ever. But as a premise, I am viewing urbanization as an opportunity towards universal healthcare. That's the premise I beg all of you to share. These are a couple of health parameters across the country. These are national figures. 81 to now. I'm more likely to live longer now than I was, say, if born in 1981. This is life expectancy at birth. Look at the dark bold column on the right. The infant mortality rate of 50 and a maternal mortality ratio of 254. These are substantially better statistics than even 2 decades back. But look at this slide. Look at Uttar Pradesh in the last line with 47/66. 47 is the urban infant mortality rate and 66 is the rural infant mortality rate. Vis-a-vis the Kerala infant mortality rate, 11 is urban and 12 is rural. So UP ends up having 3 times infant mortality in urban areas as compared to Kerala's rural areas. The rest of the statistics is equally enlightening, where Orissa happens to have 46 urban infant mortality and Madhya Pradesh 45. These are per 1,000 live births. The kids who are lost before they finish infancy. Similarly, the maternal mortality ratios also across various states present a very diverse pattern in the country, and for statistical reason, MMR is not available for urban-rural separately. Where I exist in this country, which municipality covers me or which rural area covers me really determines my health needs. So my address really determines what kind of services I get. The beautiful green at the bottom has high concentration of all hospitals and health services, so I'm more likely to get adequate service in that part of the country. Whereas in some other states, I may not have as fortunate a situation. Is that acceptable to us? Not. And each state is in a state of transition thanks to the recent reforms. Look at this slide. The red color is countries which invest very little in healthcare, very little in terms of their percentage of GDP, less than 5%. The colors are a little strange. They look better on my screen. But the dark red is India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and the Southeast Asian countries, and a couple of countries in Africa which invest less than 5% of their GDP on public health. Now that presents a very unique kind of problem. This is the money which is available to municipalities for health. Now how you raise money for providing public health is an issue that becomes all the more important because the government is not going to pay for it. Let's now talk about the stakeholders. Stakeholders have also evolved the way the health transitions have taken place. Once upon a time, these used to be playback singers. Now, these are the playback singers. The stakeholders change, the shape changes, the language they speak change, the clothes they wear change. This is the political stakeholdership of the country. Once upon a time in 1947, there was probably 1, 2, 3 political parties. Today, this country is ruled by a dozen different formations in different parts, different states, which changes the way the governance structures will move, the way municipalities would be managed, the way technology will be handled. There are new consumers. There are migrants, there are middle class, there are people who can't take a leave and go to the hospital. There are people who just don't have the money to pay. These are new consumers. There are similarly new providers to health services. Health is big business, so there are a big number of nursing homes, corporate hospitals, all kind of formations. There are also some new paradigms in health delivery. Expectations are different. Foreign travel has changed the way we look at health, access to health. Issues like gender, old age, HIV, crime, climate change, environmental issues, pollution related issues, etc., etc. Options of availability of technology, the concept of inclusive planning, which was talked about in the morning, which was touched in the morning but not taken to any discussion extent, and the issue of sustainability. These are new paradigms which have come into the stakeholders which are discussing, which is why we are here before you today to seek your opinion on issues which will take this country towards universal health care. There are some old stakeholders. For example, sociology of migration, everybody knows, is an old stakeholder in planning business. All planners will have to fight with it. Weak infrastructure, industrialization, physical environment, slums, land issues, mobility issues, transportation issues. These are issues you would continue to debate when you're dealing with health sector, even in the current scenario. Economic policies, health equity, the under the tree doctors, the quacks, even in cities like Mumbai, right outside Apollo Hospital in Delhi, would continue to be a problem. The issue of quacks who have no qualification and continue to service a large constituency of health needs in the country would also remain old stakeholders. Another major old stakeholder is lack of coordination. Most municipalities would have a plethora of agencies. These are agencies which run hospitals in Delhi. So Government of India does, Government of Delhi does, Municipal Corporation of Delhi does, NDMC, Cantonment Board, Railways, ESI, Jal Board, several autonomous institutions and NGOs, and of course a huge amount of private infrastructure, and not even counting the quacks around in Delhi. These are the kind of people who will try to get together and give health to me if I was to fall sick in Delhi. And technically they don't talk to each other. So they will all do their city planning on their own mathematics, on their own terms, and they will take their own directions, their own evolution of stakeholdership, and not be designed together. Let's now talk about the tools. I have one more film here. These are a couple of vehicles we designed very recently, and that's our president receiving a small ball to be thrown on the moon. And we managed to take to the moon using those vehicles down there. These are the vehicles we use for carrying vaccines. And these are not old pictures. These are cold chain equipment being transported around in peri-urban areas near Delhi and surrounding states. The picture on the right top is polio IEC being done. Now, a country which carries stones to the moon still carries vaccines in this manner and is still doing its IEC in the same technology methods. The grammar of urban health needs to be understood in this context. Let's take 3 premises as taken. In India, health planning is basically rural centered. So all of us may be talking urban planning health, but we really have no clue, no special understanding of the grammar involved. Urban care continues to be fragmented, unregulated, and a very complex mix of public, private. Regulated public is good, unregulated public is dangerous. Regulated private